guys. So I know you guys are starting to wonder, you know, who is this guy? How did we get here? And where's he been? And by you guys, I mean my one subscriber. Appreciate that. My name's Tony. I'm in Central Florida, about 50 miles south of Daytona. I'm a third generation, you know, body man. I was born into it. So with that comes welding, a little mechanical, this and that. I do it for a hobby. I do it for a living. I do it for my friends. And I watch a few different people on YouTube, and that's about all I watch now. I find it very intriguing. I like to see what people are doing. And I figured, you know, maybe people would like to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to give it a go and throw a couple videos up and go from there and see what happens. And you guys like it, like it. If you don't, do whatever you want to do. I appreciate it, and we'll see you around. How you doing? How you doing? This thing keeps breaking these $6 motor mounts that they come with, or you get from at AutoZone or whatever. And I ain't got the heart to pay 180 bucks for some polyurethane ones from I don't know, a couple of little places. So this is a Cummins motor mount for a couple of years off, and I'm gonna see if I can make them work because they seem much stronger. And this tiny little 318 most certainly has less torque than a 12 valve Cummins. So if it breaks these, I just got the Anomaly 318. That's the baddest thing that ever walked the earth, I guess. Alright, so I put this motor in this truck, and I put a bunch of the old stuff off the motor that I took out of the truck because I wanted it to still look old. And I did it in a hurry to go to the Daytona Rod Run, which is why it has 180's exhaust manifold and then like one from like a 69. So I'm going to do something about that. The firewall and the fender wells and stuff were actually cleared, and what, you know, but it just was, you know, supposed to still look old, so you can't even really tell. And the rat's nest back there is somewhat factory, and some of it's not. So the other day I put this chain on here like it has 1,000 horsepower, and a little cable around the motor mount right there, because it did have a solid throttle linkage that was like a factory setup. When I would take off from a light or something, the truck would take off on its own because the motor is shifting and it's letting the throttle, it's sucking the throttle back. And so that's not good, and it's making the motor mount and stuff even worse. And so I'm going to try these mounts out for a 12 valve and see what we can do, and probably clean this thing up a little bit more before a couple of the other little Mopar shows and some other stuff pops back up. All right. You know I hate to brag, so I won't. Horsepower chain, you know. beautiful weather here right now in Central Florida. It was pretty nippy a couple days ago. Now I'm almost starting to break a little sweat, but could be because I sucked down a couple of them little Debbie Christmas trees before I came out here. Dang, it must be getting rusty. Must be that metric and standard dang, because I use all of it. All of it. Get me a nut and get me a bolt. We're down here. Actually, that's not true, because I don't even know if this is going to work. All right, back to the top. Y'all seen how fast I got up? Them little Debbie ain't slowing nobody down. All right, so probably gonna put the engine hoist on here and pull this motor up, which if someone wasn't watching, usually I just put a board under there and pray that the oil pan don't cave in, but we'll try to do things a little bit better. Yeah, my homeboys used to call me the little punk, but then some rappers started making me look bad, so can't have nothing nice, you know what I'm saying? I need the air one, but I ain't got it yet. I'd have got water for a whole village if I had a well. Yeah, that mount right there. I don't know if it's broke or not, but it moves too much. All right, well, I'll put the motor mount back where it was. That doesn't quite seem to be the problem. But if you get down here, it's got a little, that's a problem. That's a problem. Oh man. I'll tell you. This tranny mount was actually on the transmission when I got it. So, it was a motor and tranny out of a 87 D100 with 70,000 miles. So, if they never really serviced it or had an issue with it, that is potentially a very old transmission mount. And that would have been why it pretty much went bad immediately. And unfortunately, I do not have an anomaly, and this is not the strongest 318 to ever walk the earth. I just have like a 40-year-old transmission mount, so it's kind of a bummer, but what do you do? So now basically we'll finish reverse job here of putting this shit right back together. Luckily, didn't pull the other side off. I've fiddled with this a few different times now, put a different throttle stuff on it, which it needed a cable more than a solid rod anyways. And apparently some guy who knows more than me says, "Did you check the transmission mount?" And I was thinking to myself, no, I don't think it really matters. But I didn't really think about it pushing itself forward. So it does matter. It did matter. And it matters right now. And so I got to get the transmission now. And on a side note, if anybody needs some first gen 12 valve motor mounts, I've got a set, because I don't return nothing. I just buy shit like I've got money, and I leave it on a shelf until I don't need it or need it. Which I don't own a first gen right now, but I will own another one because I've owned too many not to have another one. So. Preferably, this will have a 12 valve actually, so we'll see. Here's the mount. That'll do it. Alright, so I came up with a solution. I don't know if it's the right one, but this tranny mount looks like it's a couple $100 online. It doesn't seem to be very accessible. I don't know if it's because the truck wasn't manual, but this particular mount does not seem like it's available in the parts stores, and it's a couple $100. So the plate, obviously, you saw before, that goes to the top of the mount is separated, you know, not usable. Don't really want to weld up a solid mount, so I'm not going to do that. What I did do is drill 2 holes in the cross member to go through the tranny mount back to the tranny, and it's going to pull it down into the rubber, and then the sides will still have the bolts like it did, so it won't be solid. I think it'll work. You know, see how aggressive it is driving. If it's not feel solid or anything, the thing will probably live the rest of its life this way until it gets another motor. But this is what I got. So basically, these were the factory holes that held the mount in, and the bolts that actually went into the tranny that held the mount in were through the mount. And you have, it's not like most of them where it's on the edges or the sides. You have to push the tranny up, get the bolts out from under the mount, and then you can take it off the tranny. Well, now this bolt and this bolt are just going to go up into the transmission, and then it will also get remounted in the factory holes. So technically it'll be a little stronger, this and that, and if it don't ride like shit, we'll roll with it. Somebody must be round, because I can't find my square, but this one will work. Should look big. Yeah, I ain't got one of the fancy evolution saws. I sure wouldn't turn one down. We'll just use this puppy for the moment. We got these 2 pieces cut, and they need to go on here. I sat outside for 40 years, so no rusty. All right, so we got both of these cut, and just needs 1 and 1. Oh, that ain't bad. If you lift this end up a little bit, it levels out. So yeah, that's my thought. If you hold the level up, it's level. So that's good. Next step, put a little penetration on it with that welder from my last rusty tutorial. So this is another how not to weld rusty metal, but I'm gonna give it a go. All right, so our next step is gonna be taking this shit off, because I'd rather look like a burn up couch in the smoking section of Motel 6 than wear all this shit. You crazy. All right, let's do this. All right, so we got one side with a little weld on it, and we'll get this flipped around and do another one. All right, well now some of our pieces welded up. We're gonna take some stuff off this, put some stuff on, and make it happen. That's too high. That's way too high. Someone didn't think this through. That honestly might actually be an okay height right there. Well, I'm done for this evening. If it hasn't started making sense to you by now, it probably won't. But I'm not a huge fan of stationary items in the shop, whatever. I like shit to be able to roll, move, take it wherever you want to take it, clean behind it, do whatever. This is probably considered a bit overkill, but I had it here. It doesn't take up much more space than you would if you had something against the wall. And I could take it apart, take it down, do whatever with it, but finally put this brake on. And I've lifted it as hard as I can from the front. With the weight being offset, it doesn't allow you to flip it backwards or anything, so you can break whatever you want to break. And if you wanted to take it off, you could. If you wanted to move it up, move it down, or whatever. But I'll probably get these things all cleaned up and wire wheeled or something. I thought about having them powder coated, but I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not. But there it is.